Hello. Oh, sorry, bright light in your face. Snow fear. Let me just move that out of the way for you. Hi. Hello, and welcome to Christmas Gnome Paint Party. Yay! I'm just going to get my paint ready while I'm waiting for a few people to come join me to paint gnomes. This is what we're painting today. Fun times. Yay, happy gnomage. I'm using some nice Fuss student grade acrylics. These are the ones I use, well, all the time now, pretty much. I like to paint with them. They're not quite the cheapest ones. You can get some cheaper ones, but they're not the most expensive ones either, but they are the ones that give me some really lovely results. So I'm just getting my light green and my dark green. I've got some black, and then I've got some cobalt blue as well for our sky. Don't know how much we'll need, maybe a little bit more. And a bit of red for his hat. Getting that ready as well. Hello, welcome, say hi. When you come on, let me know where you're painting from today. I'm in Wellington. What have I got left? Yellow. I'm in Wellington where it's quite breezy, and the sun did come out today though. The rain stopped for a little while and the sun did come out, which was nice. Got a yellow. What am I missing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. White. Need some white as well. So I'm just getting my paint ready. Welcome if you've just joined us. Welcome to the Christmas Gnome Paint Party. Yay! It's going to be fun. Right, so I've got my paints ready. Hi Leanne, good to see you again. He is a cutie, isn't he? I do love him so. Okay, so now if you haven't painted with me before, let me just swivel you around a bit. Not too far because you'll see my messy room. Now if you haven't painted with me before, I'm Silka. Hi. I am Chief Paint Slinger here at Heart for Art, and I teach people step by step how to paint. I want to share my joy for art with you, and I do that in my studio and here online. So a big welcome to this virtual paint party. Thank you all so much for joining me. And hello again if you've painted with me before. Hi Leanne, you've painted with me before. But a special welcome to any of you who are first-time painters, all right? If you've never painted before and you've decided to give it a go, awesome. I'm so excited for you, and that is what I exist for in life, to help people discover the joy and fun of art. So do say hi when you come on and let me know who's here, and let me know you can hear and see me okay as well. But yes, I started Heart for Art nearly 2 years ago now. Wow, and I've been doing in-person paint parties in the studio for a while. And then, of course, COVID hit and I had to quickly pivot. And I'm so grateful I did, because it means that I've started doing virtual paint parties just like this, which means that I can share art, joy, and healing with so many more people. So I took my business online, and like I said, my business mission is to share the joy and healing of art, because art is good for you. It's good for your mental health. It makes you happy. They've had science people that have proved it with tests and stuff, that have proved that when you paint and do art, even if you're not good at it, apparently, it boosts your mental health. So my goal today is to share that with you, and also that you'll just have a nice relaxing time painting and enjoy the process and have a lovely painting at the end of it. So let me tell you quickly how this is going to work. While I do, go ahead and get your paint ready if you haven't already. The materials you should have is a canvas, a blank one, here's a blank one, or something, just something to paint on. It doesn't have to be a canvas, you can paint on anything you like. You'll need your brushes, obviously. I will be using a bristle number 10 brush, so it's about yay size. You can have something smaller as well. I like to use the bristle, I can never say it, bristle brushes, because they give a bit of texture. I like a bit of texture in my paintings. I'll also be using a pencil, yes, absolutely, but a sort of a smallish to medium size brush as well, and then a much smaller one for the detail work, the liner work. So, but you know, if you haven't got the exact same brushes, that's fine. You know, you can use whatever you've got, works as well. So, and then of course your paint colours. All right, so I've got my paint colours here, my greens, my blue, my yellow, my red, and a white and a black. And again, you can use whatever colours you want. You don't have to use the exact same colours as me. And I also have a hairdryer as well, which is super handy to speed up the drying process in between, because we want some stuff we want to be dry before we paint over it or near it. So how this paint party is going to work, I will give you step-by-step instructions. I will talk you through exactly what I'm doing to create my gnome. And then I'll give you a little bit of time to complete each step. All right, I'll wait for you to do it, and I'll wait till a few of you have let me know you're ready to move on before I move on. All right, so I'll ask you for a thumbs up or a yep, I'm ready, or just some sort of comment to let me know that you're done, and then I will move on. Now, you'll likely all be at different skill levels potentially. So, you know, some of you may be brand spanking new. You've never painted before, in which case, yay! Awesome that you've taken that first step to join me today. And then some of you may have painted before. I know there's a lot of people that paint with me in virtual paint parties that may be painting with me again today. Either way though, I'm going to try and aim for a nice happy medium, a nice middle ground on how I teach and what speed I go at today, so it's not too fast or not too slow. Now, if you finish a little quicker than everyone else, just relax and enjoy the extra time, all right? And if for whatever reason you do fall behind a little bit or can't stay for the whole session, there will be a replay afterwards, so just go back to where you left off and then you can carry on painting at your own pace. Yay! Okay, so give me a thumbs up and let me know if you're ready to get started, all right? If you've got your paints ready, you've got all your bits and pieces ready to get started. I have got my paints ready. I'm just going to have a quick sip of water. Now, if you are painting for the first time, I just want to really encourage you not to put too much pressure on yourself, okay? Art is, any kind of art, painting is about just relaxing and having fun while you find your creativity, you know, and just enjoying yourself. So pressure just takes away the enjoyment. So just enjoy yourself, relax, have fun. You can't really get it wrong. Now, if anywhere along the way you have any questions or you get stuck with anything, just pop a comment in the, you know, let me know what you're struggling with, and I will do my best to answer you and help you as we go. Hello, Leslie. Good to see you again. Thanks for joining me, and good that you're ready to go. Yes, so if you have a question anywhere along the way, you get stuck, put a comment in. I will turn around every now and then and have a look, and I will help you. We will paint. I reckon it's going to take about an hour. We'll see how we go. I reckon it's going to take about an hour-ish. I've never done this one. It's a brand new painting, so I don't actually know. So we'll see how we go. But it is a fun one. And, of course, you are free to change any of the colours. You can do any hat colour you want along the way, all right? And then we will all end up with fabulous masterpieces. Yay! All right, let's get started then. So let me change the angle so you can see what I'm doing a little better. All right, there we go. And I'll put that light back now that it's not in your face and glaring so that you can see what I'm doing. There we go. Okay, so now if you have not painted before, I'm just going to explain quickly the brush. Okay, so there are different parts of the brush. If you're new to painting, I may use some terminology that you're not familiar with. So if I say dip your toe, for example, you'll be like, what? I'm talking about the toe of the brush. This is the toe of the brush, all right? So if I say dip a toe, it really just means dip one little toe of your brush into the paint, because you don't need a whole lot, all right? But then if I say fill your belly, again, you'll be like, what? I'm talking about this part of the brush, all right? So this part of the brush here is the belly of the brush, and most of the paint will sit in the belly of the brush, okay? So if I say fill your belly or get your belly on your canvas, I mean get the belly of the brush. You know, this is the belly of the brush here, all right? So hopefully that will make sense. because all the paint is in the belly of the brush. So if it's not going on well, you're just using the tip of your brush. You want to get your belly on the canvas and hold your brush more parallel to the canvas, and it will put more paint on. Okay. Now I will tell you what I'm doing as I go. You know, my brush techniques that I'm using, but if you develop your own style as you go, or you find something else that you like, go with it. Do whatever is comfortable with for you. All right. Whatever you're comfortable with, you're going to be happier doing and have a bit more fun. And don't be nervous about anything, all right? It's going to be fine. It's always going to be fine, all right? Okay, so let's have some creative fun. All right. So now that I've shown you the brush, we're going to put that down and we're going to start with a pencil, okay? And I'm going to switch these over so I can reach a bit better. Here's my one I prepared earlier. Okay, we're going to sketch our gnome in first, all right? Just a few lines. We don't have to do all of them, but we're just going to sketch a few lines in so that we know where stuff goes later, all right? So we're going to put the nose in first. We're going to put a nice big nose in. Now you see it's a little bit below halfway, all right? And it's reasonably centered. So I'm going to find halfway and I'm going to just put a nice big circle in there, all right? Now I'm aware that you probably can't see that. Now you don't have to push hard. I am pushing hard so that you can see my lines, all right? You don't have to push hard though, just enough that you can see it as a guide later, all right? My nose is a bit wonky, but it really doesn't matter because we can paint that in better. It's just a guide for us, all right? Next, I'm going to put the brim of my hat on, all right? Now you can make this as thick or as thin as you want, and you can put it angled whichever way you want. I'm just going to go up there and around and down the other side. You see it's already different than my original, and that looks a bit weird right now. Can you see my lines all right? Let me know if you can see my lines all right. I might just do them a little bit darker. I know that on a computer screen it's a little bit harder to see lines. Now, like I said, don't do your lines this hard. You don't need to. Some of your paint colours, it'll show through, so just do them nice and lightly. And then I'm going to do my hat. And it's kind of a, you know, it really can, it's a basic triangle, but you want to sort of keep a rough shape of the head. You know, there's a bit of head shape and then just some fun wonkiness. You can do it any shape you like, and a bit of a turn at the top. Don't put your heart in yet. Well, put your heart into the painting, but don't draw your heart in yet. We will add the heart in later. I'm just going to move that up a little bit. We will paint that in later, all right? And then we're just going to add a nice little rough beard outline. So the beard outline will come around about where the head ends, and we'll just sort of carry on. Now we just need to do a rough guide of where this is going, all right? Just very roughly, so that we know where the paint's going on later. And the rest, we can put our pencil down because the rest we're going to paint in. That's really all the guidance we need. So let me know if you're good to go. Give me a thumbs up if you've got your gnome sketched in, and then we will start painting. Now while I wait for an okay, I'm going to explain colour mixing. There's essentially 3 different ways you can mix your colours. You can mix your colours on your palette, all right? That's where you take 2 colours, you put them somewhere else, and you mix them together. Easy. Second way is on your brush, all right? And we're going to do a little bit of that today. And that is where you basically dip your brush in 2 different colours at the same time and let them blend on the brush. All right, we're going to do that for our trees later on. Or you can dip one toe in one colour and dip another toe in another colour and let the brush, you know, put them on together at the same time. Third way is mixing on your canvas. So we are going to do the third way today. We're going to mix our colours on our canvas, all right? And that's basically what we're going to do is we're going to alternate dipping in the blue and the white, and we're going to paint our sky background, all right? And what that does by alternating dips is you create patches of light and darkness, and that just makes it a lot more interesting, okay? We are going to paint around our gnome as close as we can, and sort of up to about here, all right? And we will put some ground in later, all right, so almost to the bottom. All right, we're good to go. Okay. So I like to use my brush to add a bit of texture as well, which is why I like to use a nice bristle brush, because it just adds a little bit of texture to your painting. I always think it makes the painting look a bit more interesting when you can see the brush strokes. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a bit of blue, and I'm just going to do lots of little strokes. Now I'm doing horizontal strokes, okay? I'm just going to tilt that up slightly more. There we go. And then I'm going to dip in white, all right? And I'm going to go over the top of my blue strokes, and I'm going to let them blend together on the canvas, the white and the blue, okay? I'm just doing really nice, light little touches, and I'm going over them not too many times, okay? And what that does is, hi Joe, good to see you again. What that does is just create a nice textured background with a bit of difference in the color. All right, we want to create light and dark patches. Now if you want to have a Can't Beat Wellington on a good day sky, do long soft strokes, all right, but don't overblend. When you overblend, it will basically blend all the colors to one blue, and that'll just be a bit boring. We want to make sure that we have a few bits of light and dark remain. If you have overblended, you can always just put a bit more back in, all right? So if you want, like I said, if you want a Can't Beat Wellington on a good day, do long, gentle strokes. But if you want to, like, actually really, this is how Wellington is, get a bit more crazy with it and just go all over the place. You know, entirely up to you how you do your background. But yes, we're painting roughly up to our edges of our gnome, and it really doesn't matter if you do something you don't like it, paint over it. You know, that's the beauty of painting. You can do whatever you like, and if you don't like it, you just do it again or paint over it. Now, I'm not doing this today, but if you want to continue your gnome around the edges, do that as you go. Just continue painting around your edges, and it will actually look a little bit nicer hanging on the wall. All right, it's easier to do as you go than try and touch it up and match colours later. All right, so I'm going to go all the way around my gnome, and I'm going to paint over where the heart is, because we're going to paint that back in later. Now, it doesn't matter too much if you go over your hat, but try to get, you know, relatively close without getting into the hat. And make sure you keep alternating your dips between your blue and white, all right, because that will make areas of light and areas of dark and just make it a bit more interesting. I'm going to paint right over where the trees are going, because the trees will go back in later, and we'll paint those over the top. You just don't want to end up with any weird little white bits, you know, showing behind your trees. So it's just way easier to paint the whole background in and put the trees over the top than try and paint around trees. So keeping on dipping in your white and your blue, and it's entirely up to you how light, how dark. You know, if you want to do a sunset, you know, use yellows and oranges. Be creative. Have a go. There will be you can watch the replay of this one as many times as you want. So if you want to have another go and do a sunset gnome, you know, have a second go, and do some yellows and reds and oranges. All right, so that's my background in. Now we're just going to paint to just almost to the bottom, because we're going to put a bit of ground in here later on. Okay, so almost to the bottom. It doesn't really matter if you go over your bed, because the bed we can paint over the top as well. So yay, we have a sky. Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to wait for a thumbs up or two before we move on. Now, while I wait for that, if you're new to painting and you're not sure how to look after your brushes while you're painting, it's best that if you're not using your brushes, just leave it in water. All right, that way, I mean, you can clean them, but unless you clean them properly, any paint, even a slight residue of paint that's in your brush, will harden and make your brush so much harder to clean later. So my habit while I'm painting, if I'm not using the brush, I just leave it in the water all the time, and then I can clean them all properly while I'm paying attention later. Okay, so we've painted our sky. While I wait for a thumbs up from you to let me know you're ready to go on, I will explain colour transparency to you. Now, some of you have painted with me before, so you'll know what I'm talking about. But if you haven't, essentially all paints are made from different pigments and different things in nature. All right, so some of them are made from things that are see-through and some of them are made from things that are opaque. All right, so your yellows, for example, and your reds are very see-through. They're made from stuff in nature that's just see-through. So what we do is we just add a little bit of white because white is completely opaque. So if we're using a colour that's very see-through, you just add a tiny little bit of white and that will make it not see-through. Yeah, it's just because like some stuff, some paints are made from like clay and plants and dirt and I don't know, different stuff, and they just all have different properties, so all the colours behave in a slightly different way. Okay, who's ready to do the hat? We're going to paint the hat next. I am going to use, I've got a number 4 round Taklon brush. As long as you've got something relatively similar, not too big, not too small, but just, just right, as Goldilocks would say. Now I'm going to paint my hat. So like I've just explained, the colour transparency, red is a transparent colour. So because I don't want, if I've got any little blue bits that I've accidentally gone into, awesome, Joe's ready. If I've got any blue bits that I've got here that I don't want to be totally see-through into my red, I'm just going to mix a little dip of white into my red paint. Now I don't want to put too much in because I don't want it to go pink, but I just need enough that it's not totally red anymore and will combat that see-throughness, the transparency of the paint. Now you can choose any colours you like. You don't have to do red, but if you're following along, I'm doing red. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint the red stripes on my hat now. Alright, so we have a red stripe here. Now it doesn't have to be totally perfect because, the fun of painting is the process, not the perfectionism. You can see I've already gone quite wobbly. I did have a wine with dinner, I must confess. But we will clean that up later. Okay, so I'm just going to put my red stripe in there. Now if your paint's getting dry edges, it's not too bad today, just dip your brush in water and mix that into your paint, and that will give you some better edges. Your paint will be a little bit more fluid and work a little bit better. Now if you need to, rotate your canvas. If it gives you slightly better access, rotate your canvas, work whichever way you need to. Alright, so I've got my red line in there. I've got a bit of a boo-boo there, but that's alright because we're going to paint over that later. It's not a problem. Alright, now I'm going to put another red stripe roughly in the middle. I'm going to leave room for a green stripe, a white stripe, and then another red stripe. And again, you can do whatever colour, whatever scheme you want. You can do zigzags. You can do whatever you like. Alright, put another red one in there. This one's gone a bit fatter at the end, that's fine. Because remember, it's about the process. More than anything, we want this to just bring us a bit of joy, a bit of quality time, relaxing, doing something that is good for us. It puts, well, I call it putting a happy deposit in your emotional bank account. And that's more of what we want to concentrate on than getting it 100%, perfect. It's about that quality time, relaxing, getting some me time to rejuvenate. Okay. Already this one's looking different to my other one, but that's the beauty of it. Yours is probably looking a little bit different as well. There we go. We've got our red stripes. I might just make that stripe a little bit bigger. A little bit fatter. There we go. Lovely. Okay, so we've got our red stripes down. Next we want to put our green stripes down. Before I get to that though, if you've got blobs on your brush, if you're painting and you've got a whopping great big blob on your brush and you want to get into a nice tight little corner with the tip of your brush, what you do is what I call the twirl and pull. All right, you basically lay your brush parallel to your canvas, to your palette, and turn it and pull it. So it's a turn and pull, and that will basically take most of the paint off your brush and leave you with a nice point on your brush, which will make it a lot easier to get into any, you know, tight little corners like that. So you won't have a big dollop on the end of your brush. Okay. I'm going to paint my green stripes next. So obviously I need to clean my brush. I'm going to do that now. And whenever you're cleaning your brush, it's always really important, unless you're going for a bit of a dribble effect, we always want to make sure that we clean and dry our brushes, all right? So if you've got an old paint rag like me, which is almost turning into a work of art, it's got so much colour on it, you always want to make sure you dry your brush, because if you don't dry your brush, the next time you press on the canvas with any colour, it will push all the water out and dribble it down your canvas, which will be sad, unless that's the effect you're going for. So next we're going to paint our green stripes, and I'm going to use the dark green. And now dark green isn't too bad on the transparency level, but it is still a little bit transparent. So I'm just going to do the same again with a little dip of green. Now it's of white. Now it's not a lot. You don't need much. You don't want to change the colour too much. Just a little bit, just enough to get over that transparency of the colour. Now I'm going to put my green stripe in. And again, you can do any colour you want. You don't have to do green. Now just be aware that your red will still be wet. So you want to get close to it, but not too close. If you do happen to pick up a bit of red along the way, just go over it a few times and it will blend back. It'll be fine. It'll be all good. Okay. Again, I'm going to rotate my canvas just to give myself a bit of easier access into there, and I'm going to do that twirl and pull. I do it by instinct now, I'm so used to it. So twirl and pull, and that will take most of the paint off, give me a nice point on my brush so I can get into those little corners. Now it doesn't matter too much, because we are going to clean up those edges with our black trim lines at the very end, alright? So you don't have to worry too much. I picked up a bit of red there, but that's cool. It just adds to the flavour of the whole painting. There we go. Now I've got another green stripe up the top. Now if you wanna lean on your painting, just beware if it's still wet, not to. It's not so much the first lean, it's the second lean, which then, see, look, I've already done it. I've got blue paint on my hand. The second time I lean, I will transfer that blue paint somewhere else. If you really need to lean on it, grab your hairdryer, give it a bit of a blow dry, and then you can. Okay, I'm going to just rotate to get into that little corner there. Twirl and pull, get a nice point. If you really need to, there's no reason you can't just swap brushes and use your small liner brush for these little tricky cornery bits. Actually, they're not that tricky. Again, I'm not going for precision here, I'm going for fun. Alright, okay, now we'll give that a chance to dry, and we will come back to that. Alright, so give me a thumbs up if you got your stripes all sorted, and then I will move on to the next bit. Alright, in the meantime, we want to clean our brush. Actually, do we need to? We're doing trees. We probably don't even need to clean our brush because we're doing green. But yes, give me a thumbs up when you've got your stripes done. Alright, when you're all striped up. Joe's ready. Okay, lovely. Excuse me, having a sip of water. Alright, I'll wait for one more ready. Oh, with another thumbs up, lovely. Alright, so we're going to paint our trees. And this time we're going to let the colour mix on our brush. Alright. We're literally going to alternate dips in different colours. And we're not going to clean the brush between colours, all right? We want to let all the mixing magic, it is mixing magic, happen on the brush itself, all right? We want the colours to blend. We want the colours to blend together a little bit and work together and just do their magic. You'll see what I mean in a moment, all right? So what we're going to do is we're going to paint our trees, and I'm going to use the dark green, the light green, and the white, all right? and it's not hard. Okay, I'm going to start with a bit of light green. All right. Oh, wait, hang on. I've forgotten a step. We need to make sure I was hoping my sky would be dry by now, but it is not. Okay, hold that thought. We're going to dry our paintings. All right. Best way to check if it's dry or not is whether it's shiny. Okay, so you can see that mine is very, very shiny, which means it's still very, very wet. I call it the shiny wobble test. So you hold it in the light and you can see it's really, really shiny. All right. Now you can't paint over something that is still wet. So grab your trusty hairdryer, give it a quick blow dry, make sure your sky is dry. All right. So I'm just gonna blow dry now. Okay, you can see now that it's not shiny anymore. That's the quickest way to check if your painting's dry or not. Let's just do the shiny wobble test. So now that it's dry, I can put my trees on. Yay! So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take one colour with a decent amount of paint, and I'm just going to basically swish in the trees. I'm going to do lots of little tree shapes. I should probably start with the dark one so you can see it. There we go. I'm just going to do lots of little overlapping pine-shaped strokes. And then I'm going to dip some white and put that in. Get as close as you can to your hat. We will clean that line up. It doesn't matter so much if you go over your trim because we will paint that back on later. All right. So we're going to alternate between the light green, the dark green, and a bit of white every now and then. And we're just going to do lots of like short curves. That's got a bit of red in it. I'm just going to clean that up. Lots of short curves, you know, overlapping, and we're not cleaning our brush in between. We're literally going from one colour to the next, and we're letting those colours blend beautifully on the canvas itself. My tree looks like it's leaning a bit. It's windy. It's a Wellington tree. I haven't left as much room this time as I did my first one. And when you let the colours mix together on the canvas, don't go over the strokes loads of times, all right? You'll have magic happening when you just let them be, so to speak, as John Lennon would say. Just let them be. And keep alternating your colours, all right? Now you can go a little bit up to your beard because we will paint the beard over the top, okay? I'm going to put a second tree in here. You may have a little bit more room. I've got a little bit less room, so I'm just going to put half the tree on this time. A little bit of white, a little bit of green, and a little bit of dark green. And just let those colours blend together. All right, nice. And I'm going to put another one in over here. And it's literally just, you know, nice, easy, quick strokes. One that way, and a couple, you know, little squiggles, and you'll see the magic of the colour blending on the brush as you do it. But make sure to keep alternating those colours and just let them all mix together beautifully. And just like have a colour party on your canvas, so to speak, as they just work together to make beautiful, like loads and loads of different shades of greens, and the lighter green and the darker green. It just starts looking really awesome. But the key is not to go over them too many times. When you start doing that, they will start to, you know, the two colours will blend together into one colour, and you'll lose all that lovely effect of the colours, you know, intertwining on the canvas. when I say having a colour party on the canvas, make sure to go right over your hat trim, because you don't want any sort of weird blue skies sticking out later. Alright, will I put another tree in? Yeah, I could put another one in. I'll just put another little one in here next to it. Bit of light green, bit of dark green over the top, and the odd smidge of white. Just to let them all play together on the canvas. Lovely. There we go. I got 4 trees in today. Yay! Cool. And then once you get to the bottom, with whatever's on your brush, take a bit of white and just blend that to a lighter sort of pale colour. And we'll just put that, have I gone far enough down? Oh, it doesn't really matter. We'll put that lighter colour at the bottom. Yeah, I've got a bit of lighter green at the bottom, which is like just snow, really. This is your snow. The green reflecting in the snow at the bottom. I've gone a bit higher today, but that doesn't matter. It's the beauty of painting. Whatever you do is correct, because you are the artist. You get to decide what it looks like. Okay, so I'm just, but I'm saying it's snow and it's reflecting a bit of green. So I just put the odd little smidge of green in. It's picking up the colours of the trees. I mean, snow isn't really green. I know yellow snow is the one you want to avoid, but a bit of green snow. I do like a bit of skiing. But, you know, that's the beauty of artistic license. I want a bit of green in there to just pull that green colour all the way through the canvas. So I can have that if I want. It's my painting. You can do whatever you like. Nobody can tell you it's wrong. Hooray. Okay. So next step is to dry your painting. So I'm just going to pop that brush in the water and get my trusty hairdryer out again and dry everything. Just make sure before you do that, just make sure you've not left any weird blue bits around your trim, around the trim of your hat, or whatever you call that bit, because you don't want any gaps between there later. I should say you don't really need the whole painting to be dry right now, just the bits, because we're going to put the beard on next and we're going to do the hat. So it's really just the trees and the snowy bits around the edges so you don't pick up any paint. But let me know when you're ready and we'll move on to the next step. We're going to paint the beard next. So once you've got your painting dry, give us a thumbs up or a yahoo or a yoo-hoo, whatever you like. Let me know. Okay, I'm good to go. Some of the tops of my trees are still a bit wet, but that doesn't matter so much because I'm not going to be painting there. I'm just more concerned about all the bits around the edges where we're going to paint next. Alright, so I'll just wait for someone to let me know we're good to go. I'll let you catch up a little bit. While I wait, let me explain to you about dominant colours. Now we're going to paint our beard next, alright? And we're going to use white and we're going to use a little tiny bit of black. Now the reason we use a tiny bit of black is because we just want it to be a little bit grey, okay? Now when you're mixing colours, the lighter colours are the less dominant colours and the darker colours, generally speaking, the darker a colour gets, the more dominant it's going to be over the lighter colour. And what that basically means is that you will need much, much less of that darker colour than you will of the lighter colour. For example, if we're going to mix a pink, for example, you'd need you'd need a lot of white and not much red. It's just the tiniest little bit of red and you'd have a nice pink. if you had equal amounts of red and pink, the red would way over dominate and you'd have a really, really dark pink, if not still a red. So whenever you mix in colours, your darker colours you will always need less of, and it's easier to just put a tiny little dip in at a time than if you use a whole lot and you will overpower, the lighter colour. So are we ready to paint beard? Who's ready to paint beard? Somebody let me know. Still a few Christmas trees being painted, pine trees. I'll just give you a minute to catch up. I don't want to rush you. I don't ever want to rush anyone, because when you feel rushed, you don't enjoy it as much. So I'm happy to just wait a little bit and let you catch up. And I will clean my brush. I'm going to use the same brush. I'll clean that while I wait. Joe's ready. Lovely. Awesome. Okay, I'm going to use the same brush. Now, I quite often have 2 pots of water, because as you can see, that one is already quite dirty. And if I'm switching to a white colour, sometimes the pigment in the water will actually be on your brush and you won't get as clean a white. It's not as important today because we're going to put some black in anyway and make it grey, but I often have a second pot of clean water just to give my brush a proper clean. Okay, so let's get our beards on, so to speak. Now I'm going to use white predominantly with tiny little dips of black. So I've just explained the whole dominance of colour. I've still got some clean white happening here. I'm just going to separate that off so I don't pick up any green. I don't want any green in my beard. And I'm literally, I mean, you probably can't see this, but I'm going to do lots of curved strokes in the shape I want my beard in white, and then every now and then I'm going to do a tiny little dip of black. All right, just tiniest little dip of my toe. I'm just going to dip the toe of my brush in black, and you'll see that when I put that on, that's instantly quite dominant. All right, like really overpowering. We're going to add the black lines later. We just want to do a nice soft grey. So you put your black on, and we're just going to put white over top, and we're going to let that blend on the canvas and the brush. And we're going to do lots of little strokes, and we're going to keep adding white, and we're just going to keep overlaying them, and again, not going over them too much. We do not want them to blend in, to one flat. We want to actually be able to see the individual strokes, because that's all the individual fluffs of hair, of beard. All right. We just want to keep overlapping them, and we want to have a little bit of differentiation between the greys and the whites and whatnot. And we want to go up and over the rim of the hat there, and also over the nose. Okay, we will paint those back on later, but that way it means that there's not going to be any little gaps between the nose and the canvas, where if you're trying to paint right up to it, you might end up with little white gaps. Okay, so you want to keep adding your white. If your paint's getting dry edges, fluffs, you want to dip your brush in water and just thin your paint a little bit, and it will go on better. Do the old fluff out to the side, and every now and then a tiny little dip of black, just to make your beard go a little bit. Must get a little bit of a differentiation between your greys and your whites. So I'm going to need to get some clean white. Excuse me. There we go. And we're going to, like I said, we're going to put those black lines on later, but for now we're just using white and the odd little dip of black to give us a bit of flavour and a bit of darkness and a bit of contrast between the whites and the greys. Painting over the trim of the hat. I've got quite a trim beard. I might just make it a little bit fatter out here. If it starts looking a bit too flat, you want to add a bit of contrast. So add a dip of black or add a dip of white. All right, and we want to see every brush stroke, because that's going to make it look like a fluffy beard. All right, we want to go right to the bottom of our canvas. We'll put our shoes in afterwards. Again, odd dip of black every now and then, just to change up the shades of our beard. And white again, and we want to really see, oh, we've got a tree that's not dry. I've just picked up some green. Let me just give that a blast. Now, if that happens to you, if you know, like I just picked up a bit of green there by mistake because I hadn't dried my trees properly, you know, don't panic. It's no drama. The beauty of painting is that you can pretty much fix anything. You just dry it, paint over it. Or if it's, you know, something that's a shape that's gone a bit wonky, you make it a bit bigger, or, you know, there's loads of different ways to fix stuff on painting. That's why I love it. You can't really do anything wrong. So there's never any reason to panic or think you've wasted your efforts, or, you know, you can generally always solve painting problems. That is the joy of it. You can't really mess it up so bad that it's not fixable. There's always a way. I love that about painting. Okay, so I've got lots of beard happening here. I'm going to put a few white highlights on here and there, just real nice light tufts, just to make it a little more interesting. And that's pretty much my beard. My shape's quite different today, isn't it? It's the skinnier gnome relative from Norway or something. A few little white fluffs out the side. There we go. And our beard is done. Awesome. Yay! He's starting to look like a gnome now. Now, I always say in my studio and my online paint parties, never judge painting till it's finished. It's always going to look a little bit weird until you get all the pieces in place. All right? So for now, it's still not quite looking right. But it's not until the very end, when you tie it all together, that everything starts to pop and look amazing. So don't ever judge your paintings until they're finished, right? So now that we've done our beard, we're going to use the same brush. I'm just going to give it a wipe. I'm not going to wash it. You don't really need to do that. And I'm just going to use the clean white to paint all the white parts of my hat. I'm going to do this bit last, just to give the grey a little bit longer to dry. So I'm going to paint in the white trims of my hat. Now, the reason we do that is because the blank canvas does look a little bit odd with no paint on it, but it also gives us the chance to clean up any lines. All right, so you can see on my blue, for example, there, my blue isn't entirely straight, so I can use the white to basically twink it straight. Look at that, beautiful. And if I want my red to be a little bit higher up, I can twink that out as well. But just be aware that if you're going to lean on your canvas, don't lean anywhere that's wet, okay? So I'm just painting all my white bits in. If you need to use a smaller brush, by all means do, change your brush, all right? But if you're happy using this one, remember, do the twirl and pull. Twirl your brush and pull it on your palette, and that will take most of the paint off, and it'll give you a nice clean tip to get into those little corners. All right, lovely. We're just giving this a nice base of red, half white, so we can clean up any lines. You can change shapes if you want to, entirely up to you. And again, it's not about precision and perfection. It's about relaxing and doing something that's fun. And having a nice Christmas gnome at the end of it. Lovely. Okay. And you can see that mine's nowhere near perfect, which is unusual for me as a German. I don't sound like one, but that's because I've been here for 40, a long time. Years. So by now, most of our bed should be dry. It's really only if you pick up any like big black dollops. Because it's a white-based colour, you should be able to just paint straight over it. So this is where we now use our white to clean up all our edges. You can see that I had some pretty big boo-boos, well not boo-boos, but I just went a bit wonky there on my red. So this is where I can now use my white to just magic it away. Look at that, perfect. Yay, white is like twink for artists. You just twink stuff out. Now if it's going on a bit thin, if you're finding it's not covering it, remember that all the paint is in the belly of the brush, the sides of the brush, all right, not the tip. So if I'm just going to overload, I'm going to fill my belly, so to speak, just to demonstrate. If I've got all the paint on the belly of my brush and I'm just using the tip, the paint is still sitting on the belly of the brush doing nothing. All right, so to get the paint to be doing something, you want to hold your brush more parallel to your canvas, and that will get the belly to the canvas and put more paint down. All right, and if you're finding it's not covering, you just lightly go over it with your belly to the canvas and it will cover it much nicer. This is where we can give our hat a nice curved edge. Where we painted trees over it before, it was so much easier to just paint the brim back in later than try and paint trees around a white space. So we just cover the whole lot up like so. And again, rotate your canvas as often as you need to get comfortable. The more comfortable you are doing something, the more you will enjoy it. You don't want to make it awkward and uncomfortable. That's no fun. Alright, so we've got all our whites painted back in. All our white stripes. It's a band, isn't it? They're a pretty good band too. And we've got the hat trim. Now I'm going to paint the hearts while I've got the white as well. I'm going to paint the hearts. We've got some lovely little hearts in here. All these lovely little hearts in here. Alright, I'm going to pop those in as well, but I'm going to switch brushes. I could probably do it with that brush, but I think it's easier with a slightly smaller brush. So this is where we use, you know, a liner brush. I've just got a number 1. There, it goes all the way down to 0, 00, 000, 4 zeros, you know, depending on how fine a detail you want. This is just a 1 will do. Even a 2's good. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my liner brush for the detail work, and I'm going to dip a bit of water, dip my brush in water and mix that into the paint. When you're doing little detail work like this, you want the paint to be nice and fluid. If it's big and thick and blobby on a small brush, it's going to be tricky to get you know, your details happening. So I'm just going to do the twirl and pull. I've thinned my paint a little bit. I'm going to do the twirl and pull, and then I'm going to do what I call tea with the queen, where I put a little finger out, having a cup of tea with the queen. And I'm going to lean that somewhere dry. All right, I'm going to lean that on a piece of green, and that will basically help me. I can stabilize and rotate on that spot, and it makes it a lot easier to do my hearts than sort of, you know, just floating above your canvas. So I'm just going to stabilize with my little finger and use the very tip of my brush. Don't press too hard. The harder you press, the thicker your brush strokes will get. Alright, so I'm going to just do my little hearts and twirl and pull, just to want a little bit of bright paint on my brush. Very tip of my brush. Do my hearts. And again, you don't have to be too perfectionist about it. You're quite close to your painting right now, but nobody's probably going to get this close to it again, so you don't have to worry about getting the detail too perfect. It's the combination of all the details together later that make it look awesome. Nobody's going to be looking at one heart going, oh, that one's a bit wonky. And to be fair, we're all a bit wonky in life, aren't we? But we're all still beautiful, lovable people. Okay, I've got a couple more to do. Now this is the kind of detail work you can finish off later as well. You know, you don't have to do it all now while I'm doing it. You can do it all in your own time, no rush. Now you want a brush that's reasonably good nick. If your brushes are starting to get to the point where all the bristles are getting a bit separated, they do that sometimes, and you just can't get a nice point, it just means that your brushes are just getting a bit old. Just going to make this one a bit bigger. Your brushes are getting a bit old and it might be time to replace them. But before you do though, you can actually condition your brushes. It does often work. Sometimes just a bar of soap. You just rub them on the bar of soap and then rub the soap into your brushes, and just it conditions them, and then give them a good clean, get the soap off. And often it's the same as conditioning your hair, you know. It brings them back to life essentially. Okay, we've got some dots as well. Do tell me to slow down if you're not keeping up, but remember that there is a replay. You can watch the replay anytime if you happen to get a bit behind. Not a drama. So I'm going to do the dots now, and I'm just going to use the very tip of my brush. All right, and I'm just going to dot. You can do them as big or as small as you want. And you can do zigzags, you can do stripes, you can do whatever you like. This is your painting, so you can do whatever you like. There we go, we've got our dots. Yay! And while I've still got the white on my brush, I'm going to put the base colour of our heart in on the top of the hat here. Now the reason we do that is because, like I explained with the opacity and the transparency of colours, yellow is very see-through. So if you tried to put that straight onto your blue, it wouldn't look as vibrant. So I'm going to give it a base coat of white first, and then I can put the yellow over the top and it'll pop a whole lot more. So I'm just going to put my heart in here now. Now you can put a star on, you can put anything you like on, you can put a smiley face on if you like. You know, get a bit creative with it, have fun with it. It's totally fine. Now you want to be using a bit thicker paint this time to give it a nice, you know, base, because we thinned it a little bit for the other one, so it went on easier. And again, if you really need to, use your smaller, you know, oh, we are using a smaller brush, but if you've got a smaller brush again, you know, use whatever you're comfortable with. Okay, so we've got our heart in. Yay! We've got hearts, we've got dots, we've got everything lovely happening. Okay, I'm just going to pop that in the water, and then I'm going to dry my painting, because we're going to do yellow next, all right? And that's going to go over the top of our white. You can see slowly our gnome's coming together, but he's still not finished, so don't judge him yet. Give him a good dry, though. Give him a good blow dry. These coats need to be pretty dry. If you need to, I've got where I've done my boo-boos, where I had the red. Just I can still see a little bit of colour through it. So if you need to, just do a second coat. You know, you may not need to. It's only for the really obvious bits, if you can see them. So just do a second coat and then give it a jolly good dry. All right. Okay, so I'm going to wait now until someone's ready, and before we go on to the next bit. All right, but do make sure your painting's nice and dry. So when you're ready, Joe or Leslie or Leanne or whoever's still there, give me another thumbs up or an okay. Give me an okay. If you're ready to move on, when you're ready to move on, give me an okay. shiny wobble test. Joe's okay to go. Lovely. Shiny wobble test. Good. Lovely. All right. If we're good to go on, then we make sure your painting's dry. We're going to paint the yellow of the hat now, or whatever colour you've chosen to do. Whatever brush you're comfortable with. I'm going to go for my small to medium. Yep, bro. Oh, well done, Leslie. Cool. Awesome. And but whatever brush you're comfortable with. I'm gonna use this small to medium-ish one, and I'm gonna paint the yellow over the top. Now, yellow is transparent, but because we've already put a white color down, we've got a nice white base, so we don't have to worry too much about adding white this time. And I'm just gonna paint my yellow. I'm gonna put this in here, and again, whatever color you want. If you want to watch the replay and do another gnome in whole different colors with whole different patterns, you can. You can watch it 10 times and have a whole, hang on, how many? Oh no, that's dwarves, isn't it? I was going to say do 7, but that's dwarves, not gnomes. You can do as many as you like. Maybe you do, if you've got grandkids, do one each for your grandkids, you know, all in different colours. Do it in their favourite colours. How lovely would that be? Or maybe you invite your grandkids over and they can all paint one themselves and you can paint with them, do it all together. How much fun would that be? Painting is just fun. I love painting. It just makes me happy. I have grandchildren with me. Oh, yay! Hello to Leslie's grandchildren. I hope you're having fun. Awesome. Oh, that's exciting. I'm very pleased to hear that. Very pleased to hear that. So you've got grandchildren gnomes happening already. Lovely. Okay, now we're going to do the twirl and pull. Now, if you want to change your brush to do your dots, you can. I'm just going to, you know, if you want smaller dots, I'm just going to put dots in here. Oh, Leslie, I hope you're going to share those photos of your grandkids' gnomies. I'd love to see them. You know, post them in the comments afterwards. I would love to see their gnomes. Nice. Okay, so I've got some dots. I don't know, can you even see those? They're quite light, eh? There they are. I've got dots on my hat. Yay, I've just used the very tip of my brush for those. And just to mix it up, I'm going to put some stripes in. I'm going to switch brushes because that one's quite big and I've left myself a very thin top of my hat this time. So I'm just going to switch to my smaller brush and do a few stripes on my hat just to mix it up. There we go. Lovely. But you can have fun with it. Do whatever you like. I can't wait to see what those grandkids have done. Nice. And of course, our heart. I'm going to make a nice yellow golden heart. I've switched brushes, but I'll stick with this one now. Whatever you're comfortable with, essentially. And I'm going to put my yellow heart in. There we go. Nice. We will clean up the edges later if you want to. So it doesn't matter too much if you go a little bit over. Lovely. Okay. A few little bits to go and we will have our finished gnome. Alright, so how are we going with our dots and stripes and hearts and yellows? Let me know when the grandkids are finished and I will move on to the next step. Hi grandkids, I hope you're all having fun. Yay. We're nearly finished. Oh, there'll be lots of lovely colourful gnomes, I'm sure. Fantastic. Okay, I'll give it another little bit. Wait for you to catch up and then we will paint our nose using our number 4 brush. So I'm going to give my number 4 brush a clean. So give us a thumbs up, an okay or a yahoo when you're ready to paint noses. I've got my number 4 brush clean and ready to go. Gonna have a drink while I wait. Good refreshing agua. Yes, thanks. Cool. Awesome. Oops, the comments have gone further down the bottom. There we go. Alright. Oh, just imagining gnomes. Gorgeous gnomes coming to life everywhere. Nearly Christmas time. So I thought this was a nice fun one to do for Christmas. Okay, there is a bit of a delay when you post your okays and readies. I hope you're not feeling rushed, that I'm not going too fast, that it's a nice good pace. There we go. We got a thumbs up. Awesome. All right. So, like I said, I'm going to use my small medium-ish brush, and I'm going to mix myself a nose colour. So, like I explained earlier on, the darker the colours are, the more dominant they are. So I'm going to use white and a little bit of red and a little bit of yellow. All right. So because the red is way darker than the white, I really don't need much at all. Okay. So I'm going to just get a bit of white, and I'm going to put a tiny little dip of red, like a tiny, like, can you even see that? It's so tiny. All right. Because I don't want it to go too pink. I just want it to be a little bit pink, and then I'm going to do the same with yellow. All right. And I'm just going to keep adding bits of red and yellow till I've got a nose colour I like. Now, again, you can do a purple nose if you want, you know. I'm sure the grandkids will come up with some lovely colour choices for noses, but I'm using white with a little bit of red and a little bit of yellow until I get it's a fleshy colour, really. All right, so I've got a nice flesh colour. If you just do it little dips at a time, then you won't go overboard. You just change the colour a little bit at a time until you're happy. And it's a bit dry, so I'm just going to dip my brush in water and mix that in, and that'll go on a little bit better. All right, and then what I'm going to do is, this is where we clean up all those beard edges. All right, we want to get close to the top of the rim of our hat. Now your nose can go over the top, it doesn't matter, that just means it's sticking out a little bit further. And this is where we just basically shape our nose. All right, and we paint over our beard until we get a nice nose shape. So this is what I was saying before, it doesn't really matter when you're sketching. You just need an idea of where your nose is going, because you paint over the whole lot later anyway. And again, rotate your canvas if you need to get a good shape. Oh, my nose is getting bigger. Well, my gnome's nose. Anyway, once you've got your gnome's nose painted, you want to do a tiny little dip of red, tiny little dip of red, and just put some at the bottom, and that just, and the sides, and that just gives it a bit of shading. All right, you can probably barely see that. See, it's a little bit shaded on the one on the bottom and the side. And then same again with a dip. Just wipe your brush and a dip of white, tiny dip of white, and do the same on the top. Might need a bit more white, and just add a bit of highlight on the top of your nose there. You know, enough that you can see it. Cool, and voila, our gnome is slowly coming to life. Yeah, this nose is a bit lighter than my other nose. But you know, that's the beauty of it. You can make it whatever shade of colour you want. All right. And then only a couple more things to do. All right. So we're going to clean that brush and dry our brush. Always dry your brush between colours. And we're going to paint shoes now. All right. Oh, now I'm getting favoritism towards this gnome over that gnome. I shouldn't do that, eh? I quite like this one. Anyway, I'm going to take a bit of black. And I always find that black is quite dominant on a painting. I don't ever really use solid black very often. I always like to dull it down a bit, up to you. But I like to dull it down a bit with the tiniest little bit of white, just so that it's not such a strong, bold black. All right. And hopefully I've got enough for 2 shoes. I should have. And I'm going to just pop the shoes in. There's one big whoop there. Nice and easy. It's just a round curve on the bottom, basically. One shoe. And unless he's a one-legged gnome, which is possible, he's going to need another shoe. All right, so I'm going to put the other shoe on the other side. Roughly the same size. And there we go. He is now a standing gnome. That's 1 foot's bigger than the other. It doesn't really matter. Yay! We have 2 shoes. And we're going to just add some highlights to our shoes where we just dip the tip of our brush in the white. And we just do a quick little curve on top like that. And we need more white. Another quick little curve on top of the other one as well. You know, you can go over it maybe once or twice. That just gives it a nice little added touch of, you know, a bit of shine. He's got nice shiny shoes. Yay. And already he's starting to look pretty cool, isn't he? Yes. Now, this next step is entirely up to you. You can choose to do it or not. You might decide that your painting already looks fabulous exactly as it is. All right? But the last step is essentially switching brushes to a smaller brush and using that same not quite black colour and putting all your trim lines on. All right? So you can see the difference between my two here. So this one is just complete as is. And he looks pretty cool, hey? I quite like him. He looks quite cool. But if you've got some rough edges, you know, you've got some bits that aren't quite looking that clean, we're just going to put all the black trim lines on everywhere. I'm going to add a bit of detail to his beard. And we're going to use that same black that we just had. All right, but we're going to thin it a little bit with water. Okay, we don't want it to be too dominant and we want it to go on a bit easier. So I'm just going to dip my brush in water a couple of times and mix that in. And then I'm going to do that twirl and pull and just use the tip of my brush. All right. And we're going to paint all our edges. All right. Now this is where you'll want to potentially rotate your canvas a lot. If you're tempted to lean on it, make sure you dry it first. But again, it's key not to try and be too perfect. All right. I'm just going to use the very tip of my brush and I'm just going to create all of these lines. All right. Now this is where it's important that your paint is reasonably fluid because it will go on easier if it's a bit more fluid. So dip your brush in water and just thin your paint a little bit, all right? It seems I can't talk and paint. Every time I paint, I have to stop talking. Around our heart, lovely. And it's really not, I mean, if you look really closely at this one, none of my lines are perfect. You'll see they're all a little bit wonky and a little bit bumpy. But when you stand back, it looks fine. So you don't have to get it perfect at all. Painting is so much more fun and enjoyable when you just let loose and enjoy the process. All right, I've got thicker lines and thinner lines, and that is fine. It's all good. And at the end, when it all comes together, your gnome will look beautiful. I'm just going to pick mine up now. Make sure I'm not leaning on a wet tree. That's a weird statement, but you know what I mean. I'm just going to get my lines in. And this is where if you've got some rough edges, you know, I've got some slightly bumpy edges where my blue's gone into my hat. This is where you can just cover them all up and hide them like they never existed. Like they were never there. And it'll look so much nicer. Black, when you put your black trims on, it just makes all the other colours pop. It just gives it that contrast that just makes it, you know, against the black lines, all the other colours just look so much brighter. It just gives them, you know, it's almost like they have to work harder. You know, it's like, oh no, black's here. We have to really stand out now to be noticed, you know. So I'm watching, I'm not leaning on my shoes because they're still wet. Got to be careful where you're leaning. Okay, beard is dry. I can lean on beard. But yes, be very careful where you lean if you're going to lean on your canvas. Or just give it another blast with the hairdryer and then you don't have to worry about it. Gone a bit wonky there. Okay, A little bit left. I'm running out of paint. I'm not mix enough. So I'm doing my tea with the queen thing again. You put your little finger out. Oh, hello. And you can use that to lean and you pivot. So it's nice and easy. It just gives you a point of stabilization on your canvas. Not enough paint on my brush there. Nearly done. There we go. A little rough on the top there, but you know what? You can't really tell, eh? And we'll just touch it up a little bit there. Just that there. There we go. Beautiful. So that's all our hat trims. All that leaves now is adding a bit of detail to our beard, all right? So same thing again, you know, we want to make sure our paint's nice and thin, and we're just going to put some little wisps in the beard, all right? So you do not want to overdo this, all right? We're going to put some around the edges of the beard. We're just going to sort of do some ziggy-zaggy lines like that to just define the edges of our beard, all right? If you can see that. See, I've just put a little line. It doesn't, you don't have to be right on the exact outside of your white, you know, your beard lines. It's just roughly there, all right? Because we're going to add a few more lines in as well. You know, we're going to just put a few little ones in here and there, just to add a few little shadows to our beard, a few little, using just the very tip of your brush. You don't need to put too much paint on, just to give it a bit of definition in the beard. And again, on the same on the other side, we're just going to add those lines. But this is really key, that you don't want to have a dry, you know, what I call dry brush, where your paint, there's just not enough paint on your brush and it just ends up looking like a weird dry stroke. So you want to make sure there's enough paint on your brush and that it's a little bit fluid. And just lots of light little touches, a few little whisks here and there, maybe a couple around his nose. It's just lots of little touches in the same direction as your beard fluff. Your beard, it's not fluff, is it? Your beard here, your beardiness is going. I'm using all the good words today, aren't I? There we go. But it's really key not to overdo it. When you get to the point where you're thinking, yeah, look at my awesome gnome, that's time to stop, all right? Because you can overdo it. And I think I'm at the point of needing to stop. But there is one more thing to do. Do any of the grandkids know what the last thing is that you need to do? There's one more thing. I'll give them a minute if they want to answer. And that'll give everyone else a little chance to catch up. What's the last thing we need to do, kids? Because our gnome's looking pretty... Oh, I forgot the nose. I forgot to go around the nose. Okay. Again, I'm going to pick mine up. If you're working flat, it can be a bit easier, but just again, watch if you're going to lean on anything, that you don't lean on anything wet. Oh, there we go. Oh, it's a bit wonky. Oh, let me just straighten up. Oh, the grandkids are not sure. You need to sign it. You need to be proud of your work, and you need to autograph your work and proudly put your name on it to show that you did it. So you need to put your initials or your first name, your last name, your... Oh, there we go. Yep, Leslie got it. Oh, yeah, you did get it. Yay, the time delay. Cool. Awesome. Yes, autograph. Be proud of your work. You've just created a beautiful gnome. So you need to be proud of your work and, you know, pop your initials on the bottom. Initials, first name, last name, whatever. Write Picasso, anything you like. So I'm just going to use my same little liner brush. And often people will like to put the year as well. You know, 2020, if you want to. Oh, my E's gone a bit funny, but that's all right. I could paint over that and fix it later if I wanted to. But yes, well done, everybody. You have just created a beautiful work of art. And now I have 2 gorgeous gnomes and I can give one to someone else. Yay, indeed, Leslie. Yay, indeed. So, yes, gnomes everywhere. Let me move this light out and just swivel back round again so I can see you. I would love you all to share your pictures with me. I'm just going to get that light out of my face. I would love to see all of your finished paintings, especially all the ones that your grandkids did, Leslie. That would be awesome. So take some photos, pop them in the comments when you're done. I can't wait to see what you've created. I can't wait to see all the gorgeous gnomes that are all around the country now. And don't forget, if you can watch this again on replay if you want to, if you're a little bit behind, or if you want to paint more gnomes, you know, have another go. Oh, has my light just gone out? Oh no, that's just my shadow. You know, paint as many gnomes as you want. Or just paint relaxed, pushing, play, pause whenever you need to. Yeah, so I hope you had fun. And if you did have fun, let me tell you about my next virtual event that's happening. The next one is Castle Point. A slightly different genre than a gnome. Castle Point, my most favouriteest place in the whole entire world. Yay. Sorry, it's a bit reflecting. Castle Point, beautiful. Now this one is $22.50 and you get lifetime access essentially, so you can paint it as many times as you like. Go over to heartforart.co.nz and scroll down a bit. You'll see the Castle Point picture. Click on that for all the details for this one. And that is this coming Saturday. And now the same way that I broke down the gnome, you know, you paint a little bit at a time. I will do the same for the Castle Point, and it makes it totally easy, same way as today. All right, so this one is an easy one to paint as well. I will try and include a link somewhere in the comments maybe, but otherwise head over to the website and have a look for that one. I'm glad you had fun, Leslie. I did too. Oh yay! Don't send me your paintings. Post them in the comments. I'd love to see them. Maddie and Nana say thanks too. Oh, lovely. Hi, Maddie and Nana. Thanks for painting with me today. And yeah, after Castle Point, if you happen to be in Wellington, I'm painting a pukeko in the studio. So that's in-person paint party. That one is the 19th of December. So if you want to paint a pukeko, this one is super fun as well. Have I done this one online? I think I have already done this one online. But they're both coming up. So they're both totally fun ones to do. So yeah, come and join me. So thank you so much for joining me today. I love painting and I love sharing painting. I'm always so overwhelmed that people I've never even met, like you guys that I have never even met, some of you I have, you've painted with me in Wellington, but most of you I've never even met and you're willing to paint with me online. Thank you so much. That gives me purpose and I love it. But yes, if you are in Wellington, come join me in the studio sometime doing the pukeko on Saturday the 19th. Otherwise, maybe see you online again for Castle Point this Saturday. But yes, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you all had fun, and I hope I have succeeded in helping you just have a bit of quality time to yourself, a bit of fun, a bit of creativity, and that you're feeling that buzz of creativity today as well. So I will leave this on for a couple of minutes in case you have any last questions. Otherwise, it's pretty much goodbye from me, and enjoy your Gnome masterpieces, everyone. I hope you all have a great rest of the week, and I hope to see you at the end of a paintbrush again really soon. Bye. All right, I'll swivel you back to the gnomes and give it another minute in case there are any more questions. All right. Cool. See ya. Oh, cricket jet. Okay, it doesn't look like there's any more questions coming through. Even with the time delay, I reckon I've left it long enough. So, thanks guys. See you next time. Bye.